Hi, my name is Ella Stewart. I'm the Policy Officer at inTouch Multicultural Centre Against Family Violence.
And my name's Ashanti, and I'm a family violence project worker and case manager in our client services team at inTouch.
Our presentation for this conference is titled Intersectionality is More Than a Buzzword, an inLanguage, inCulture approach to family violence. For this presentation, we will provide you with an overview of our services at inTouch and who we are. We'll provide a brief discussion about what intersectionality actually means and how it is in context in the family violence sector. Then we'll talk about inTouch's inLanguage, inCulture service delivery model. And then we will present a case study, which we describe as intersectionality in practice. So inTouch was established in 1984 as the Refuge Ethnic Workers Program. In 1994, it became the Immigrant Women's Domestic Violence Service, which it still sometimes is known as. The Immigrant Women's Domestic Violence Service provided support to clients and educated the community about the ways that domestic and family violence, racism, and culture impact migrant women. In 2010, the International Immigrant Women's Domestic Violence Service was rebranded and became inTouch Multicultural Centre Against Family Violence. In 2015, the Royal Commission into Family Violence was held in Victoria. The findings of the Commission and its 227 recommendations were handed down in 2016. One of these recommendations called on the government to fund our organisation to better support the needs of people from refugee and migrant communities who experience family violence across Victoria's service system. Since then, inTouch has grown significantly. We're a statewide service in Victoria, so we provide our services across the entire state. We have over 20 case managers and they speak over 30 languages. We have outreach groups, therapeutic groups. We importantly have Inspire for Change, which is our victim survivor advisory group. This group is comprised of ex-clients of inTouch who come together, who we can consult and who help to guide our programs and our values as an organisation. We also have an in-house community legal centre with 4 lawyers and a migration agent. We have a sector and community team that provides training and education to the community and the family violence sector. We have Inspire, which is a post-recovery program to support women moving on from violence. And we have Motivation for Change, a program that works with men from migrant and refugee backgrounds who've used family violence. Quick snapshot, in the 2019-2020 financial year, we assisted 1,311 women and their 1,277 children. Our clients were from 98 different countries and they spoke 80 different languages. Just under half of our clients were aged between 25 and 34 years, and over 50% of our clients are on some form of a temporary visa, such as a partner visa, student visa, working visa, or visitor visa. 37% of our clients were receiving no income when they presented at our service. No Centrelink, no paid income from work. So, what is intersectionality? You may have heard the term as it's being discussed across Australia, across the services sector. We're seeing frameworks developed and implemented across the family violence services sector and in relevant government departments. We think this is because service providers and policymakers are rightly seeking to better understand how to meet the needs of clients by recognising that one size does not, in fact, fit all. But what is intersectionality? The term and the theory were originally coined and developed by Kimberly Crenshaw in the States in a paper published in 1989. Crenshaw's paper was about the experiences of Black women in the United States, and she highlighted the fact that sex discrimination laws and race discrimination laws on their own separately didn't properly reflect the experiences of Black women in the United States. Instead, she talked about the intersection of these oppressions, that need to be analysed to correctly meet the needs and understand the experiences of Black women in the States. So if we transfer that sort of a theory into our practice here, it's really, intersectionality is used to understand how systemic barriers are produced by a combination of different types of oppression, such as racism, ableism, sexism, heterosexism, ageism, and socioeconomic inequity. When a number of these oppressions come together, a complex form of injustice is produced that impacts the type of services a person will receive and how they receive them. This analogy that Crenshaw uses in her paper is really useful. Consider an analogy to traffic in an intersection, coming and going in all four directions. Discrimination, like traffic through an intersection, may flow in one direction and it may flow in another. If an accident happens in an intersection, it can be caused by cars traveling from any number of directions and sometimes from all of them. Similarly, if a Black woman is harmed because she is in an intersection, her injury could result from sex discrimination or race discrimination. But it is not always easy to reconstruct an accident. Sometimes the skid marks and the injuries simply indicate that they occurred simultaneously. Frustrating efforts to determine which driver caused the harm. What does this mean in the context of family violence and family violence service provision? We believe that it's more than just culturally responsive practice, which is also really important. It's more than just checking your own personal privilege. It's about understanding the systemic barriers and structural marginalisation that our clients face at any given time. It's about working to understand the needs of individual clients based on their experiences. And critically, it's about acknowledging that the barriers that many clients face are different to the barriers that you may face. It's about working to reduce those barriers. And it's about acknowledging the intersection of these barriers for some clients.
At inTouch, we specialise in working with individuals and families who require a culturally specific and tailored family violence service response. Through our experience as an organisation, we know that in order to provide the most effective support and change for migrant and refugee communities experiencing family violence, there must be an understanding of the issues related to the intersection of family violence, culture, temporary migration, family law, and the legal system. That's why we believe our inLanguage, inCulture model is so important. Our inLanguage, inCulture model centres on a number of best practice principles. We have a strengths-based approach when working with clients. We believe in each of their capabilities and work with them through a collaborative process based on mutual respect. We're culturally competent and tailor our service accordingly. We ensure that each person's cultural and linguistic identity is acknowledged, respected, and incorporated into effective service delivery. We're accountable and transparent in our approach, whilst focusing on the best possible outcome for each client. Above all, we believe our work is intersectional. We recognise that identity and types of oppression, such as racism and sexism, as well as systemic barriers, intersect and compound the disadvantage and inequality experienced by our clients and the type of services they receive. We adopt a person-centred, trauma-informed practice, acknowledging the agency of each client and their ability to understand and identify their own needs, whilst being responsive to the lifelong impact of trauma from war, migration, resettlement, family violence, including practices such as forced marriage and dowry abuse, and many other stresses on the lives of our clients. We acknowledge the impact it has and provide a response that creates opportunities for clients to rebuild a sense of control and empowerment. Our clients receive a culturally responsive service from the first point of call. At intake, they're assessed by a worker who has an understanding of cultural issues that may impact disclosures and talking about violence, and are able to take the time to listen to the narrative, ask the right questions, and respond in a culturally safe way. Their clients are then allocated to case managers from the same or similar cultural backgrounds who often speak the same language, because what we found is being able to tell your story in your own words, in your own language, is an important step towards healing. Our case managers have specialised understanding of the issues related to the intersection of family violence, culture, temporary migration, family law, and the legal system. We keep these things front of mind when working with clients. One of the reasons we have a specialised understanding of these issues is that most of us are migrants or refugees ourselves and have a first-hand understanding of the migration journey. This lived experience of migration is especially important in relating to and connecting with our clients. Our case managers speak more than 20 languages and understand the potential cultural impacts on women experiencing family violence and the barriers they face when seeking help. We try to provide a bridge between countries and cultures as we're able to assist clients build their understanding and help them navigate the Australian system and laws in comparison to systems from their own country. Our programs are guided and informed by the Inspire for Change advisory group, women that we've assisted in the past from different cultural backgrounds and with lived experiences of family violence. We continue to tailor our approach to the needs of our clients, guided by the voices of our clients.
In this next section, we will be providing you with a case study. This is a story about a client named Shanika. Shanika was supported through our client services program, and this case study highlights the way in which our case managers work with their clients. It also shows the importance of adopting an intersectional lens. Shanika is from Sri Lanka and speaks Sinhala, with only a limited knowledge of English. Her and her husband were married for 4 years and they have 2 children together. Shanika's husband is an Australian citizen and they've applied for a partner visa so that Shanika can also remain in Australia. Her husband has been unemployed and is consuming a lot of alcohol every day. He has been using family violence against her and her children. After one particular incident, Shanika left her husband. When she first left with her children, she was in transitional housing. Shanika then took out an interim intervention order against him and her husband was excluded from the house. Child protection were involved and monitored the case closely. Our client was on a parenting payment but facing many difficulties. She does not have any relatives in Australia and was feeling very isolated.
So how we worked with Shanika. So Shanika was allocated to me. I'm also from Sri Lanka and speak Sinhala. And when I was chatting with Shanika about this, she said that she immediately felt at ease, that she was able to talk about her experiences of violence in her own language, using words that she was comfortable with. She was worried about disclosing such things as sexual abuse, as it's often not discussed in our culture openly. But talking to me, she felt that I understood that it wasn't something that she could talk about openly, but the fact that I encouraged her to talk about it and approach it in a non-judgmental way, and also spoke her language, helped her to open up and start expressing herself more. She was really confused about the whole intervention order process, so I was able to do a referral to our legal centre. And through our legal centre, she was able to be assisted in understanding the interim intervention order, and she was able to be supported through what she could expect in her hearing and learn more about her rights in Australia. Luckily, one of the lawyers in our legal centre was also Sri Lankan and spoke Sinhalese. So this was another way that Shanika was able to understand fully her rights. I was able to have more conversations with Shanika about family violence and the different types of family violence, because she didn't really know, I guess, that some forms of family violence even existed. For instance, financial abuse was a big one. So Shanika had been used to the men in her family controlling the money and making the financial decisions. However, she recognised that not having a bank account or having to ask to spend money was not what her peers were doing here. So we were able to unpack and understand the term financial abuse. Because Shanika was on a temporary visa and she needed some advice with her visa situation, we were able to do a referral to our migration agent to help her apply for the family violence provisions. Shanika had little understanding of the role of child protection and presented as fearful of authority figures. The child protection workers would try to engage Shanika through an interpreter, which frightened her further. She wasn't really sure whether what she was being said was being understood, and she felt that things were being lost in translation. So I was able to act as the conduit between child protection and Shanika. advocate for her needs, and also provide some secondary consults to the child protection practitioners who were not from the same cultural background and needed some assistance in understanding some of the child rearing practices specific to Sri Lanka. One of the things Shainika wanted to do after a while was to explore more about her experiences of violence. So I was able to do a referral to a Sinhalese speaking psychologist. Through making networks in the communities where our clients come from, we become familiar with the counsellors who specialise in working with cold clients and also those who practice inLanguage. Shainika felt this was especially helpful, and she felt less isolated as a result. I was also able to refer her to a community group because she was feeling isolated, and she wanted to speak about her experiences to women from the similar cultural background who could understand and could be non-judgmental. We also have women's groups who offer safe spaces where women from similar cultural backgrounds can meet together with a support worker to learn from each other, discuss ways of healing, and create a community for each other so they feel less isolated.
This case study really reflects for us the importance of adopting such models where Shainika's experience of family violence was acknowledged along with the other barriers that she was facing in terms of accessing support and safety in Australia. We took on board what it meant for her to be a migrant here. What's the migrant experience like? What does it mean if you have a temporary visa and you have children here? What sort of an impact does it have when you have lower systems literacy than, say, for example, other people, and not understanding what it means to have an intervention order? Understanding the impacts of all of these factors on one client is really crucial to providing effective service delivery. And that's why we think that our inLanguage, inCulture service delivery model works really well for our clients at inTouch. Thank you.
Thanks.